I've got a massive mess happening in my studio, currently doing all sorts of projects for this backdrop. And it should end up being quite a number of videos, I think. I have over there another little project I was working on, which I have filmed. Some bottles that I've spray painted, ready to do things with. But it's such a mess because I'm trying to do so many things at once. This is the backdrop so far, and really I haven't fine-tuned anything at this point. I've just placed things on there as I've created them. So currently, as I film this, I have put up a video already for this cloche, which I think as I film this, it isn't live. Or is that one live? I don't know. I've lost track of which ones I've shared that people have actually seen. I think that's next week. I've got these little things with labels that I got from Etsy and some that I created sort of from Etsy but adjusted as well, which I will share. This will be a video as well, my little suitcase of curiosities. So I did film creating that and the little spell scrolls and everything there. I've got the bottle and the little curiosities mini cupboard thing. And then underneath it's just not much at the moment because I've taken some things out to work on them. I've got some of my oversized bugs and a couple of alcohol box things that I'm thinking I'll use for something, and I'm planning to film that as well if it all goes well. So yeah, stay tuned for that, hopefully. But yeah, everything's like super messy, and I will try to do little bits and pieces of filming like this between projects so that I can give you guys a video of a kind of behind the scenes of what I'm doing, I guess. Yeah, I just thought it could be interesting to, instead of just having tutorials, just to see bit by bit what's kind of happening in the studio. A little bit behind the scenes. I'll try and back up. This is the cupboard progress that my husband's making for me. You can see the sort of L shape there. That bottom part's going to stick out, stick into the angled area, I guess, so that there's a deeper section at the bottom and I can put longer things there. We figured it'd be good for me to have some storage that's a bit longer, but I didn't want the whole thing to be too cavernous because things just get lost. So just having one section that's like that. I thought I'd film a little bit to show you what's going on in my studio right now, because and I don't know what video I'll put this in, whether it'll be in the cupboards or like just a backdrop sort of update, just to give you sort of an idea what happens in my studio sometimes when I'm moving everything around. Because, I mean, that's one corner of my room right now with things there that I want to either film with or that I've pulled out of the storage area while the cupboards are being done. So it's become quite a mess, but I do use this little corner for stuff for upcoming videos a lot of the time. You guys will have seen different tutorial videos if you've been watching my videos about this backdrop, and I do have a ring light sitting in front of it. But yeah, so just that's where it's at right now. There is a couple more projects I want to do. I don't know whether I will do before I reveal the whole backdrop sort of thing, because I've got a lot of other things I want to film and do, and I'm sort of running out of time, so I might end up, don't know, possibly revealing it before I finished a couple more projects, but we'll see. some clothes and things for a video that I'm gonna shoot in a minute. More stuff around here. So like we're in a bit of a transitional point at the moment while these cupboards are being built and things are sort of elsewhere. I think I am going to keep those shelves here though, because I kind of like them there. So I'll probably keep those there. But yeah, it's all a bit of a pigsty right now, and I've got to find room to film somewhere because I am going to do a makeup video and then a clothing video, I hope. So I'm going to unfold one of my tables sitting down there and try and fit it in somewhere, and point it away from the backdrop, the new backdrop, until I unveil that. So we'll work something out. Anyway, little update. I'll leave it there. So I decided to use one of those little alcohol boxes, the Penfolds one, to make it into a little decorated fairy box. Now I've got one of the Lady Coddington's Pressed Fairies books that has a fairy sticker with it, and I decided to use that to help decorate this box. Now if you wanted to do something like this and you don't have a sticker like that, you could firstly use a different sticker if you're just wanting to decorate it with something like that, but you could also use transparency paper if you've got access to a laser printer to print onto it. A lot of workplaces use laser printers, so sometimes I might take something to work to print it, or you can take it somewhere to get it printed and have a similar effect. Now I pulled all the foam out of this wine box, and I needed to then put some backing where I'd pulled all that foam out because it looked fairly messy and everything. And I bought this glitter foam, and I thought it'd be perfect as a lining for the box. So I just measured the box and used a Stanley knife to cut it. And I did have to make some adjustments, which is really easy to do. This stuff is super easy to cut. You can either use a knife to cut it or you can use scissors. It's really easy. I was thinking of putting this in a video with some other projects I was working on as well, but I had a fair bit of footage of other things I did for the backdrop, so I just split it up so that this is a nice shorter video, and then I'll have the last few things that I worked on in the final video. So this came with a little drawer at the bottom as well. I pulled the ribbon that was in this out because it was like a Penfolds ribbon. So I thought I'll pull that out and I'll replace it with my own ribbon. And so I put that in first before putting the foam for the base. And I just used a little dot of E6000 glue for that one. And then to glue the foam in, I've used my Boyle's craft glue. I use this all the time for things. It's been good for most projects, so. The thing I really liked about this Penfolds box is it's got a really nice latch on it, so I didn't want it to go to waste. It seemed like a really perfect sort of box to use. The only thing is I couldn't get rid of the Penfolds logo on there, which is why I've put the sticker over the top. So I had to think about how I was going to decorate this in a way that I didn't want to fully cover up the glass, but I didn't want the logo there either. So this seemed to be a perfect way to combat that. Now I just put a bit of ribbon around the edge for covering up some of the just bare bits of cardboard really that were left when I pulled out the foam insert. So the foam insert had the shape of a bottle so that a bottle could be sat in there, and obviously I don't want that in my box when I'm using it, so I pulled that out. I could have used more of the glitter foam, but it is quite thick, so it would have sort of an edge to it, I guess, whereas the ribbon's a bit thinner and sits more flush against the edges, which is why I decided to go for ribbon. This really is such a simple project. The way that I put this together was not very involved. I could have done something much more elaborate if I had more time, and you certainly could as well. You know, maybe this will give you inspiration to decorate a box similar to this, but you could do all sorts of things with it. You know, if you wanted to paint all sorts of pictures on the outside, you could do that. You could completely cover it in stickers and things with fairies and things like that. There's so many options. I liked the idea that this fairy would look like it's been pressed flat against this box, so like it's been splattered. I didn't realise this straight away, but I realised that once I took that backing off, it was way too translucent. So I actually decided to get some white paint and paint behind the image, because then it would stand out a lot more, and it gave it a bit of softness as well. Instead of having the full white piece of paper, I could kind of shade the white out. You could also use maybe a sponge if you wanted to really shade that white out on the edges. I just used a paintbrush. I didn't mind the look of it looking kind of brushed on or whatever. Now there were still some logos and things on this box, so I decided to just paint the whole thing black. I liked the black against the hot pink. I thought it looked really nice, and I figured the fairy would stand out really well. So just a bit of PVA glue on the back there to stick it on. Now I just did glitter sort of randomly, kind of thinking of it a little bit like a solar system, I guess. Little puffs of glitter and colour to make it look like, I guess, magical smoke or something like that. It's just a really quick, easy way to decorate a box without having to cover the whole thing in a design, and just gives it a bit of extra interest. But again, you could do something much more elaborate if you have a box like this and you're wanting to decorate it. I've just gone for quite a simple finish here. And I'm using different things like mica powder that I have, and sprinkling that around, a couple of different glitters, all in purple tones, and it just gives it some slight variation of purple colour and different textures as well. I used some purple microbeads on this glue that I'm putting down right now, and all in all it just added different textures and interest. So that's it for this box. There's a few more things that I do in the last video, which is coming up. So I hope you've enjoyed this, just to see what I do to create different things for my backdrop. I can store things in this box too, which I think is a great idea. Hit subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I'll see the rest of you next time in Faewood. Bye guys!